Welcome to another episode of No Gears, No Glory. Today we're going to be working on the RZR. Our job today is going to be installing a light bar. I have a single row unit that I got earlier this year off of Amazon. Pretty bargain basement price. It works pretty good. I had the opportunity to test it out. It's bright. Hopefully it'll be a long-lasting unit. The light came with hardware to mount it. Not sure it's going to be adequate for our application on the RZR, so we might have to improvise a little bit. Well, why don't we get started by taking a look at what comes in the box. Here's the unit as it was shipped to me earlier this year. Obviously I've opened it already. The hardware comes wrapped in a plastic bag, and the light itself had a foam insulator, really thin foam, very little to protect it. Again, I had the opportunity to test it out. It was pretty satisfactory. We'll have to obviously wait till the install is complete and see how it works at night and maybe on the trails. But it's a good looking unit. Again, single row. It's supposed to be right around 20,000 lumens. Most of the stuff that you get off of Amazon, the no-name parts, usually don't meet those specifications that they list. However, you know, we're just trying to have some fun and trying to see at night. I've never done any night riding in the last year that I've owned the RZR. This is just going to be for like the little funs around the neighborhood, kind of fields in the area, and the occasional camping trip. So the irony is not lost on me that I need more light in here while I'm working on this light. So as far as the bracketry goes, you're going to take your bracket, take your Allen nut, which fits this large Allen, take your washer, your crush washer, slide them in there. Alright, step one down, brackets are on. Okay, so the problem I'm running into right now is that the brackets on the end here, if you face them out this way, they're too wide here where I want to mount them. This is kind of like a marked mounting spot for them. I want to mount them underneath, but it becomes too wide, and if you turn them inward, which in case you have to reverse them, this one on that side, that one on this side, then they're too narrow. So I'm thinking of trying this, using some kind of L bracket to space it in. If I turn the brackets inward, we can potentially kind of angle them so that I can bolt them somewhat like that, or like that if it's too wide, or too narrow like that. So let's try that, see how it looks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this L bracket and basically pound it flat, because I don't need an L. I just need something to give me some space. And I may cut it in half, I may drill more holes in it. We'll see, not really sure. And voila! I'm not sure how well you can see that. That's pretty flat. I'm pretty happy with that. No, I didn't mean to rhyme. That was one. Here's number two. Round two. Not bad. Nice and flat. Now also, with these brackets, they're not quite tall enough to clear here, this plastic bridge right here. So it'll sit pretty flush, but it doesn't give you any adjustability to rock the beam of the light at all. So we want to bring it down. That's why I got these spacers, which will allow us to drop it down plenty, still give us adjustability. Can match the hardware pretty nicely, so that's a good thing. The bolt we have for mounting, we have the slot. Now obviously that bolt's not going to fit in that little hole, so we're going to have to expand out these holes, so we have to do it times two. So I'm going to drill those out at the same time. We're just going to go over to the vise, stick it in there, and we'll hone it out. by just matching up the size of this hole with a drill bit. Alright, I misspoke. You're not really matching up the size of the holes per se. You can do that. However, one of the easiest things to do is to find a drill bit that actually more closely matches the size of your bolt, or just slightly over. There we go. Looks like a pretty good match from here, so we'll try that. Eye protection, it's a must. Now what we want to do is drill a hole in this spot here, and of course match it over on the other side, centrally located, so that we have our pilot hole. We'll use the same drill bit that we just used to drill out those brackets, and voila, we'll have our mounting spot. Now there's actually a little notch kind of centered in the spot, so that we know pretty much precisely where I want to drill. At least it makes me feel good about using that spot. Like butter. It's really getting embarrassing. There we go. Professionals don't make mistakes like that. Alright, let's do a test fit. Here's our bolt hardware supplied with the kit. Perfect. See? Fits very well. Perfect. Alright, let's get it from the underneath. I got the spacer in there. Again, temporary hardware. Got the bracket that'll hopefully give us our extension. There's probably easier ways to do this. I'm sure there's stuff you can buy online that'll go on the bars or whatever. I like the idea of trying to figure it out myself and come up with my own thing. I can always change it later on. So the original bolt isn't long enough, so I'm improvising with the bolt that I actually have on hand, 2 matching bolts. Now I just got to find a nut to fit it to hold on to. Okay, I found some temporary hardware that will work. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the spacer on. Alright, I'm going to come in from behind and try and do this. So, if we... This is very interesting, trying to do this with one hand. That may end up on the editing room floor. This should be teamwork. Success! We're threading! We're threading! But I feel it's too low in this position with these spacers. So what I think I'll do next is take it back apart, try it without the spacers, but with the brackets sticking out, which allows us to clear this plastic piece up here and also give us some adjustability here. Alright, based on how I have it set here, I've got adjustability to move the light up and down. Now obviously this is not tight right now, clearly. Because of the way I created these brackets and got it set in here, it's actually kind of crooked. This needs to be spaced out with some washers or something if this is going to work. I don't know if I've ever mentioned, I've never engineered anything on my own. Alright, I think I got it. I went ahead and swapped the bolts. This bolt here is the original hardware that came with it. Threw in a couple of washers and a lock washer to hold it tight, to space it out so we have the proper spacing here up top. And then just some hardware I had laying around the house, I swapped over to bolt here. And the spacing's perfect, gives the top of the head of the bolt room on both sides. So it works out very, very nice. So now what I got to do is take it back apart, pull it down, trim up this bracket, shave it down so it actually looks reasonable and doesn't look, like I said, all janky and square hanging out. Alright, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this grinder and shave down this piece. What could go wrong? So I changed my mind. What I'm gonna do is put it on a cutting wheel. I'm gonna cut it down, and then we'll grind it. First, I need my tool. Let's let that cool for a moment. There we have it, and it is complete. Now all I gotta do is clean it and paint it. Oh yeah, I gotta do the second one as well. But I mean, you guys don't need to see that, right? Right? So here's what we ended up with. I got two of them, one for each side. Grinded it down and tried to smooth it out. So now I'm just gonna sand them up a little bit, clean them up, and throw a little bit of Krylon black on them. Brackets are made, they are painted, and that is drying. So next, after we mount the light back up, we're going to have to run the wire down the roll cage and then of course install the switch and the wiring inside the vehicle. So we'll do that tomorrow probably. I'm running out of time tonight. So for now, that's it for me, but for you guys, it'll pass like a second. So I took a couple minutes to take the brackets that I had made and paint them up. And I think they came out pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Yes! I got it up there by myself, which was kind of a funny feat. Apparently I don't have a 30-inch reach, so I got it up there loosely mounted right now. So we're going to stick with that for now. We'll get it tightened up in just a second, and then we're going to move on to dash disassembly coming up in just a moment. Alright, we got it back up there and mounted. I don't have these tightened down right here for the light. I'll get those tightened a little bit, but I mean, I was a little concerned about these little brackets not just giving it too much play, but that's reasonably sturdy, I feel. I'm pretty happy with it. Only time will tell if it was a huge mistake, and I'll admit it. Traditionally, when you're running the wiring for a light bar, you would run it, say, from said light bar. The cord can go on either side, passenger where I'm sitting now, or driver side. There's a hole in the roll cage right here, and matching one right here. You would usually run the wire through there, and then it actually goes down and then comes out right here. This particular cable is not long enough to reach back here and then go down. It only reaches to right about here, which doesn't really work. So we're not going to worry too much about that right now. What I'll probably end up doing is zip tying it just down the A-frame and roll cage, and we'll just marry it up at the bottom underneath the dash in here. The next step though is going to be taking the dash apart. To do that, we're going to take the hood off, which is simple as just turning these knobs and pulling this up like so, well, you get the idea. Hood pops off, and you'll see the rest in just a second. You're going to have 2 Torx bolts right here at the top of the hood, which is going to come off. You're going to have to loosen that up. And again, that is a T40 Torx bit. This is the wiring harness I'm going to use. It's a G2V wiring harness, LED complete harness kit. Even has the relay and the switch. And the fusible link inside. I got this from a local dealership that sells razors. It looks pretty good. So let's pull it out. So we got our dash switch, which we're gonna have to cut open the dash to fit that in. That looks pretty nice. Our link does something. I'm assuming our wires go in there. And then we have miles and miles of cable that will just end up wrapping up. And here's our hot and cold, our relay. We'll mount that up somewhere, and then sure, I'll figure it out. It'll be fine, honestly. One of the next things I want to do is figure out where I'm going to put the switch. So we're going to go ahead and use the mount points over here. I'm going to just might as well use base number 1. On the back side of the dash, it actually has, and I'm not sure if we can see in there very well, spots to actually cut. So you can kind of see that already. We're going to use the one on the far right. We'll start trimming on something like this. This is plastic. You can't ever go backwards. So trim narrow and then work your way out if the hole isn't big enough. I drilled 4 pilot holes in the corner of this area that I will be cutting out. That's going to be my starting point. It's going to give me something to bite onto. I might actually drill a couple more small holes just to make it easy to get the knife through. I'm just going to use a straight blade, and then again, I'm going to cut the hole probably smaller than what I need to, and then I can trim away to make the switch fit. The switch will go in from the front. I had to pull all the plugs out, so all the wires are disconnected from the switch. I took some photos on my phone just to make sure I knew exactly where those wires were supposed to go once I plugged it all back in, and so I have that kind of documented. And then again, the switch will slide in from the front, and then it'll click in, and these pieces will kind of fall into place and make it a nice snug fit, as long as, again, you don't make the hole too big. We have a hole! Now we just got to clean it up. Alright, now that we have the hole, for just good measure, before we do any more cutting, we're going to see how that fits. Clearly does not fit. And that's okay, because we want to start modestly. Height-wise, we're good. So here, we're good. Width, we need some work. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. We got it. A little bit of trimming here and there, and slid in, and it's nice and snug. Fits perfectly. You can't see all the hash marks that I made around it. That's excellent. So let's go back around to the front and start to work on the wiring. So right now we want to hook back the wires to the dash the right way. And so we're going to pull the dash back up, pull my phone back up, and then we're going to look and see how the wires go back together properly. Black wires on top, double black on the top left, single black on the top right, double blue, and if that's not double blue, it might be blue and purple or whatever. I'm colorblind, don't mind me. That goes on the bottom right, and then the single blue in the center, the white down at the bottom. All right, let's test it out. Here we go. Ignition, first position, accessories. Yes, we've got light. We've got light. Victory is mine. All right, now all there is left to do is permanently wire it in. So we're gonna wire it in the way I said here, since it's working. Again, we're gonna go left cold, right hot, and then we're gonna bundle these up. Let's see if we can't find a place for the relay to mount up. I'm sure there's an option somewhere in here, and then we'll put it all together, button her up. So apparently I have to have a piece that this attaches to that goes into this. Okay, no big deal. Can still run the wires, and then I can figure out where to get this plug for the hot and cold. Yeah, it's one less step, or one more step that I have to take care of. That's okay. One step closer. So in the interest of wiring it safely and keeping the wires exposed to as few elements as possible, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to take the power wires back off, run the power lines down here through the firewall grommet, which should give us enough room to bring it back up to here and make it look nice and clean. We'll zip tie it kind of like this so it looks as OEM as possible. Yeah, I like it. Let's do it. Alright, so you can see we ran the power lines, the hot and cold, down through the firewall grommet, as I mentioned. It's a pretty tight fit right here to get your fingers down, so basically all I did was feed the cables down and let it follow the factory harness down and kind of just reach through and then pull them through. We're going to put those back on. Once we get the wiring straightened out, we're going to finish this wiring from the light itself. And we'll get her buttoned up, and we'll get a test shot tonight. Well, it seems I'm at a bit of an impasse at the moment. I have to figure out how to get a connector piece like this, or if I just have to cut the wire. I really don't want to do that. I don't like doing that. I like things to be as OEM as possible, weather tight, moisture resistant, whatever you want to call it, as possible. So I'm going to go to that dealer where I got this and see if they don't have an end piece that we can wire up semi-nicely and just plug and play. I'm going to go do that. Can't take you guys along with me on that one, so we'll be right back. Let's snap to it. Alright, we're on day 258 of this long expedition of a light bar install. But that's why I'm bringing you guys along. You can see what a layman like myself, who has very little knowledge or experience of how to do this, goes through just to get it done on their own. But I like the learning curve, so it works. I was able to go to a local dealership and get a pigtail, I guess is the right word for it. It's the other end that my light bar should have had. And so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lead wires that I have for the light bar. I'm going to take this, strip it out, hardwire them together, and then we're going to use this to plug into here. And then our light will work. So let's make a quick correction for anybody who might be following along and using this as a reference. I did a little bit more research just to make sure I had this wired up, and this post right here is actually linked to a 10 amp fuse. So I'm not exactly sure what this light bar draws amperage wise. However, I can tell you it's more than 10 amps, and most lights will be. So if you wire it to this, as I was doing, there's a good chance that you will blow that fuse. So don't do it. So go ahead and wire it up to your hot lead to your hot here, your negative to your negative here, ground here, and you should be solid. It'll just be usable when the vehicle's on. So I realize I'm probably going to get a lot of grief for what I'm about to do. However, I'm in a bind and I want to get this project done. I want to use this light. I want to see how well it does. So because I don't have the proper connectors, which I thought I did, I'm going to use a traditional household connector. This is not a good idea. Do not do this at home. However, I will come back and I fix it, and I'll even do it for you guys on camera. So we have that end. We have the, which is now coming from the light. We have the harness end, and if we put them together, voila, comes together just like magic. Almost like it was meant to be. So we'll put that back under there. Pull this back into place. Alright, so I need you guys to be my eyes and ears. Let me know if the light comes on, okay? Give me a thumbs up. Yes! We have light! We have light! We have bright light. Okay, so interesting tidbit of information here. The switch is backlit, as you can see. However, with the ignition off, the switch does not go off. So it's always on. That is going to create battery draw. Interesting. We don't want heavy battery draw. But the light works. Definitely works. Alright, back to the switch and see what pin is the backlight. I believe it's the white one in the center. I may be wrong about that. And see if we unplug that, does it get rid of our light? So if we go back under our dash, and this is why you don't bolt anything up until you're sure you're done, or pretty close. Let me see if you guys can see that. There is our switch. Now it's still backlit, so let's start pulling pins until it goes off. Okay, not the center one. Let's try the white one like I thought. There we go. It's the white one. So not only do we lose our backlight, but we lose the light altogether. Let's see if it becomes ignitioned. So this does not do it. This is definitely, there we go. Well, we got light again. So at this point, what I'm thinking is we go one by one and see what happens. Light on, backlight off. Second backlight off. Alright, so now we know that those are backlights. Okay, I can work with that. I'll be right back. I literally just ran to the hardware store to get the connectors I need for this wiring. And we're going to do it right. We're going to get rid of the splice connectors that I did that were super janky and I knew I was going to get grief about. And I got heat shrink style, so we can seal it up. It'll be waterproof, which is proper this type of machine. Then I also got wire and connectors so that we can take, hopefully, these two leads, run them over to somewhere else. I'll figure that out. And get that switch so that it's only on when the ignition's on and we don't drain the battery. Alright, here we go. Alright, first things first. What we're going to do is fix these connectors and get them wired up appropriately. Alright, so I messed that up. We're going to start over. Not exactly sure if roasting it is the right approach. Seems to have worked. not bad. It doesn't look beautiful, but not bad. Now, number 2. So now, I think if I jumper these 2 leads down to, well, both of these, there's 2 different lights on the switch. Both of these control one of those 2 different lights. So if I jumper these down to the negative terminal, we should be able to light those. Nope, I don't want to do that. I think what we want to do is we want to jump the positive leads down to the positive light terminal, so it's only on during ignition. Does that make sense? Let's try it. So it turns out wiring is not my strong suit. Not that one either. Well, I think at this point I'm left with one option. We go back to this stud here, which, as I said, I looked up and it said it's a 10 amp fuse and not to use that. But when I tested it out the other day, it worked. Granted, I only had the light on for just a moment, but it did work. So I think I got more 10 amp fuses. Let's give it a try. Alright, no lights on the switch. Let's try with the ignition. Ah, now there we go. Now everything lights up. Success! Alright, I've composed myself now. Back to the show. So basically at this point, I'm just going to go with it on this post. I'll keep you updated as to whether or not that works long term. Again, the main issue is it's going to blow the 10 amp fuse. If that doesn't do it, I'll go back to the drawing board and see if we can't find some other way of wiring it up and jumpering it so that the lights in the light switch don't light until the ignition's on, which seems to be this post here, the 3rd post over. I'm learning here as I go, and hopefully I'm informing you guys along the way with how not to do it, and intended benefit would be how to do it. Let's get her buttoned up. Alright, let's give her a test in the dark. So I got the ignition in the on position, so if we turn it off, switch goes dark. Turn it to accessory on, switch comes on. And if we hit the switch, we got the LED light bar lit up, we have the light up, and we definitely have the light bar on. Wow. Pretty good. What's it like with the headlights? Low beam? High beam? Well, we definitely have some more light. That's excellent. Excellent. All right, let's turn that off and get back into the regular light and not burn out this battery. All right, that's going to conclude this episode of No Gears, No Glory. Today's episode, we did a little bit of everything. We did some grinding, we did some cutting, we did some fitting, did a little electrical. Honestly, all kind of new for me. Never done most of that before. And that's the purpose of this channel, is that I can learn and grow my skill over time. And hopefully I'll teach you guys something along the way as well. If not how to, definitely how not to. This has been a pretty good time. just over the course of about 3 different days of working on this, a few hours at a time. Total accumulated hours is probably 6 hours if I had to guess. Not great, not horrible. In any case, thanks for coming along with me, and if you like what I'm doing here, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you guys know when new videos are coming out. 2 videos a week, and I'll keep it coming as long as you guys keep watching. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time on No Gears, No Glory.